What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the broader markets. I want to break down what's happening so far as we're trying to form a top right here. And what's going to happen if NIO loses this 4.5 support, which could be leading us down to 4.16. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. Moon was an amazing global brokerage that's giving away free Nvidia stock. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 worth of Nvidia. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of the stock. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 worth of Nvidia stock for free. The offer ends very soon, so check out my links down below or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the market. So, as far as NIO is going, okay, we got this nice little pump right here to this resistance around the 5.25 area. And then we made a lower high right here around 5. And then if we can't hold above this like 4.6 area, this is going to likely start dipping to about 4.16 flat as we have a nice, rejection right over here, and we're barely holding the support. So typically you have like a bearish structure when you start to retest the same support, and it's going to eventually break. So eventually 4.5 breaks, we're looking for 4.16. Now, when it comes to other pieces of news, keep in mind that Goldman Sachs is giving NIO a neutral rating. And then on top of this, you also have the price-price ratio, which is dipping right now. We're currently once again sitting over here at the low level. When it comes to seasonality, there tends to be volatility. Keep in mind that we also have green about 55% of the time on Wednesdays, but that depends on if we hold support. And I would still be very, very careful because we are still showing weakness despite that with the declining price-price ratio. Now, NIO is talking about the ET5, which is getting lots of attention as they have lots of growth potential. And we're seeing a lot of potential for improvements. So I think that's very, very awesome to see. And then simultaneously, with what's going on so far, it's going to be a very, very good competitor. But one of the reasons why sources claim NIO is selling off is because we did see a slight decline in July sales compared to what we saw in June. That could be why it's just a slight decline, but at least it's over 21,000 deliveries, which is still very solid. And we should be looking for a big improvement once we get towards the last couple of months of the year. We're still going to be once again setting new highs. And I think there's going to be 30,000 months coming, according to reports. On top of this, we're going to wait and see if they could get closer to profitability by Q4. That is what they're telling us, and that's going to be very exciting if they end up achieving that. So that's what we're essentially waiting for. For tomorrow, we just have some minor mortgage data and then crude data. There's nothing too significant coming out. A couple of Fed speakers here and there. Tomorrow is going to be a more quiet day, but keep in mind, we just had AMD and Supermicro announcing earnings. Both of them are selling off. In the morning tomorrow, we have Uber, Shopify, and Disney announcing earnings. AMD had weaker than expected earnings, even as the revenue topped expectations. So their EPS was a miss at 48 cents adjusted. And then revenue is at 7.6 billion. That's above expectations. Sales are looking decent, and the other numbers are still fine for them. They actually had pretty decent earnings. But the problem is that the AI business revenue did decline year over year because of the export restrictions. And I think that's part of why we ended up seeing a bit of a decline. So even though they beat expectations, there are some restrictions that got in the way of their bigger pieces of revenue. And simultaneously, like I said before, EPS wasn't that good for them. That's why the share price is down. Supermicro, same thing. The shares are down because of the fact that they lowered their fiscal year forecasts. They are saying that there's going to be an uneven uptake of the powerful AI servers. And despite this, the long term is still bullish. They have a long-term bullish outlook, but for the short term, things are not as great for them. So they ended up seeing not the best of guidances, despite the fact that revenue is like not looking as strong. They did end up seeing a bit of a miss in the EPS, so not the best of news for Supermicro. Share price is down pretty hard right now, so be careful. President Trump is also threatening lots of tariffs. August 7th is going to be his tariff deadline for lots of tariffs around the world for different countries. On top of this, he's threatening 35% tariffs on the European Union if they don't make a $600 billion investment in the US, which he claims they pledged. So that's some big news. He's also threatening India with higher tariffs and any countries that make relationships with Russia. He's saying that there's going to be a big increase in Russian tariffs. Then he's saying that he wants to increase tariffs on semiconductors. Next week, he's going to be announcing new tariffs on semiconductors. And then he also announced that he's going to increase tariffs on pharmaceuticals. They're initially going to be small, but then he's saying they're going to be increasing to 150% after 1 year. And then eventually 250% according to President Trump. So he's threatening lots of high tariffs, and the deadline's coming up in 2 days. As a result, the market is showing some weakness. And I think that this will also affect China. So, with the sales not being the strongest, the negative headlines coming out, we need NIO to reclaim 4.7 to try to bounce. It could try a small rebound and consolidate. But then later on, I do think with the market dumping, we could be looking for 4.16 as we're showing signs of rejection right now. So, for now, there's that downside potential. On SPY, we need to lose 6 to 6.5 to turn more bearish. Otherwise, we could be looking for a test here, consolidation first before potentially dumping to fill this gap. And I do think we're going to eventually fill this gap. Whether we get a big bounce, a bounce like this or not, we're going to likely dump, guys. And I think 621 to 620 is coming soon. So ultimately, I do favor downside. Even the QQQ is making new lows. This is also favoring, consolidation, then a dump towards 553. The IWM is also looking a bit more bullish. It's outperforming right now. Could be looking for 222, and we're going to see if we reject off this. It's going to temporarily push for like the low 222s. And we'll see if we turn back down to 218. On ES, we're rejecting. We're going to see if we get back above 63.64. If we can't reclaim that, we're looking for a dip back down to 6,300 or below. NQ is rejecting. We're making lower highs here unless we get back above 23,260. If not, we could be dipping back down to 23,000. Bitcoin's rejecting, making lower highs. We're going to see if we get back above 114,000. If not, we could be dipping to 112,000. For Tesla, we are rejecting right here. We're making lower highs. We're going to see if we get back above 310. If not, we could be dipping back down towards this 302 area. So be careful. Nvda is making lower highs here, but we could be dipping back down towards 174 if this continues to fall. We also have a gap down here. Keep in mind that chip stocks are not doing too well. We're seeing some fears about export restrictions and even potentially higher tariffs that President Trump is threatening for semiconductors. This could be negative, and we have a head and shoulders like pattern, which could lead to downside. For Apple, we look more bearish unless we get back above 206. We're favoring 200 and 195. Netflix is looking weak here unless we get back above 1165. We're favoring 1130. AMD is making lower highs here unless we need to hold 168. I'd like to see that hold. If not, might be dipping a bit, guys, because of the fact that their EPS came short and there's been a decline in their overall AI revenue. Coinbase is dipping. We're looking for a dip down to 295. Amazon's dipping unless we get back above 218. We're favoring the low 210s. Meta has a double top. We're going to likely test 756 and we'll see if we bounce. If not, we're dipping lower. Google has a double top. We might be dipping towards 194. If not, we could be dipping down towards 191. For Microsoft, we're making lower highs here. If we don't hold 529, we're going to be favoring 521 or below, so keep that in mind. The VIX is also rejecting. We're kind of consolidating here. We're going to see if this continues to consolidate, and then eventually that's going to be running towards 20.5 again, and I think the market has more downside. So I believe the market has more downside potential, and this may also drag NIO down, especially with all the tariff threats, the negative news about their sales in July. It may temporarily cause some downside, but the longer term is still very bright because we do have a lot of potential for growth once we get more sales data and once we get closer to profitability. So until then, I wish you all the best. Have a good one and peace out.